So now it's done. 300.1. Those two zeros are both in the middle, and connected zeros always have the same fate, meaning both of those zeros are going to count or they're not going to count. Since there is a 3 to the left and a 1 to the right, those are both in the middle. That has 4 significant figures. 4,203, 4 significant figures. That 0 is in between the 2 and the 3, so it counts. 10.056. The zeros have a 1 to the left and a 5 to the right, so they're in the middle. They always count. Then we're going to get to both rules. D. 0 in the front, the first 0, does not count. So if we take that one out, I'll just highlight it real quick. Then the 4, the 0, and the 8 will count because that 0 is in between the 4 and the 8. So there's 3 total there. 3. E, 9.004. There's a 9 to the left and a 4 to the right. Those zeros both count. It has 4. So we're at 4, 4, 5, 3, 4 so far. This one's fun. You have 3 zeros all in the front, right next to that blinking cursor. Those do not count because they all have the same fate. However, the next 2 zeros are in between the 3 and the 7. Those both count for a total of 4 significant figures. 302. The 0 is in the middle of the 3 and the 2, so that's 3 significant figures. H has a 0 in between a 1 and a 3, and a 0 in between a 3 and a 1. Doesn't matter how many there are, we just look at each 0 individually. That one's in the middle, that one's in the middle. So they both count. That has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 significant figures. Even this one, all of these zeros are connected. Connected zeros always have the same fate. They will either all count or they all won't. So do they? There's a 1 to the left and a 9 to the right. That means they're in the middle, and that means they always count. J. Again, double on both sides, 120.1003. All of those will count because the zeros have a number to the left and a number to the right. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 significant figures. So we'll scroll down to the next rule. We've got the never rule and we've got the always rule so far. Now we get the if rule. So for a total of never, always, if. Did you repeat it that time? You really need to repeat it out loud. Never, always, if. So, number 4. Zeros at the end of a number count if there is a decimal in any spot. So there's a condition here, okay? Some zeros at the end count, some do not. And the condition is that there's a decimal anywhere in the number, doesn't matter where it is. So, 100. The number 100 has zeros at the end. This 100 has a dot next to it. That means it has 3 sig figs. If it was just 100 without the dot, we would have 1 sig fig. So go ahead and add that next to it. That dot makes a difference, whether it has 3 significant figures or 1 significant figure. So, 32, that should be 40 for this example, but it's probably not on your worksheet, so whatever. You can fix it. Has 4 significant figures because that 0 is at the end and there's decimal in the middle. So it's 32.40. 400 has 1 significant figure. Sig fig. Singular. How can I make it have 3? Add a decimal. 400 point would have 3 significant figures. And the number 640.800 has all 6 significant figures because this 0 is an always rule. It's in the middle of the 4 and the 8. And these 2 zeros at the and fall under this rule. They count at the end if there's a decimal. And we see a decimal right there in the middle, right? So that has 6 significant figures. You get to try the decimal rule. Again, 4 minutes. If you need more time, let the sub know. That's fine. You're gonna go through, same as before, see if you can get them. You're using all 3 rules for this one, never, always, if. And remember, never, always, if only counts on the zeros. The numbers always count, so if it's like a 4, that's gonna count no matter what, okay? Go for it, pause the video, and I'll go through the answers afterward. Lastly, you're gonna see some of this tomorrow. We're gonna look at rule number 5, which if I can actually like scroll, seriously, what's my problem? Number 5, sometimes you'll see numbers in scientific notation. It's something you've seen before. That's the 10 to a power, okay? Don't get confused by it. The 10 to the power, you're gonna go like, oh, this is easy. Because scientific notation always has a decimal. So it changes the always and if rule to always and always. Okay? So they're really easy. You just count how many digits are over here. There's 3 in front of the X. It has 3. I don't even look at the 10 to the 6. Don't count it. Don't do anything with it. Okay? 4.00, there's 3 there. Technically, those zeros at the end, and they count if there's a decimal, but there's a decimal, so it's always, right? Okay? So that has 3 sig figs as well. 7.0, there's only 2 there. 2 sig figs. So scientific notation makes things super easy. You just look at the power there, and you ignore it. Okay? You guys learned at some point in middle school that 10 to the 6 means move the decimal place over 6 places, right? Or if it's negative, it's the other way, 4 places, not, or however many places that is, that's 9. So you'll get to work with that tomorrow and show me whether you remember it or not. And if it completely bombs, we'll talk about it on Monday, no big deal, okay? So if you run into scientific notation, just count the numbers in front and you're golden, okay? So here's your examples. See, 3, 3, and 2. Nice and easy peasy. I only gave you 5 here, so take 2 to 3 minutes to do this one, depending on how long you've paused it from here on out, and I'll go over the answers afterward. So this is the last one. Let's see if you got them right. 3, ignore the 10 to the 4. 4, ignore the 10 to the 4. 3, ignore the 10 to the negative 5, or 5, excuse me. 5.0, 2, ignore the 10 to the negative 2, and there's 4 ones there, so that's 4. If you got that, nice job. Just remember these 3 words that have to do with a 0. Never, always, if. And just for one more, repeat it this time, for real, because you're going to your homework after this. Never, always, if. Your homework's in your backpack. It should be the homework file. It was right next to this one. You should have seen it already. That's going to be due on Friday. Okay, so I'll start grading those over the weekend. And I will see you on Monday after your lesson on Friday as well. Okay? Good luck, guys.